He pushed me against the cool, plaster wall of the alley, lifted my skirt, and entered me like he had been starving. And I fed that hunger willingly. The humid New Orleans air, thick with the scent of rain and sweet olive, wrapped around us. There was no tenderness here, not yet, just the raw, frantic collision of want, a secret language our bodies had been screaming for weeks. When the frantic peak crested and broke, he didn't pull away. Instead, he gently guided me toward the bed inside the small, anonymous room we'd taken in the French Quarter. The weight of him over me, the slow, deliberate way he moved now, made me surrender completely. His fingers, calloused and sure, slowly slid down my cheek, finding my lips again. This kiss was different. It was a question, a claim, a promise. Welcome to the heartstrings and scars, where we unravel the untold stories of love, betrayal, and the life-changing lessons they leave behind. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. We promise you stories that will make you reflect, question, and maybe even see yourself in the characters we share. My name is Juliana. I'm 38 years old, married, and living in a beautiful, suffocating Garden District house. My life on the surface is a portrait of Southern elegance. I've been with my husband, Leo, for nearly 15 years. He's an architectural historian, a man who finds comfort in blueprints and solid foundations. Our life together was just that, a meticulously designed structure, beautiful but without a single crooked line, a calm so profound it had become a gilded cage. The silence grew loudest after our son left for university. I'd quit my curatorial job years ago, becoming a stay-at-home wife, and the stillness of our grand house began to press in on me. Buried beneath that quiet was a desire I had tried to civilize, to ignore, to starve into submission. It began as late-night whispers, the air heavy with the scent of jasmine from the courtyard. Leo would talk about fantasies, about power and submission, about sharing. He spoke of cuckolding not with shame, but with an almost academic fascination. I'd laugh, kiss the top of his head, and tell him he'd been reading too much decadent literature. But he kept circling back, his voice holding a desperate, earnest edge that told me this was more than a fantasy. This was something he needed. Then came Dante. Leo met him at a smoky jazz club on Frenchman Street. He came home that night buzzing, describing a man who didn't just walk into a room, but consumed it. He's a force, Juliana, Leo had said, his eyes alight. Primal, confident, the kind of man who takes what he wants. Leo confessed that watching Dante with the woman on his arm had been a revelation. He could give you things I never could, he said, his voice devoid of jealousy, only a strange, reverent longing. I felt a tremor of fear. Is this because you don't love me anymore? He shook his head, his gaze steady and intense. No, it's because I do love you, and I want to see you free. One sweltering evening at Galatoire's, the ceiling fans turning lazily above us, everything shifted. Leo looked at me over his Sazerac and said, Dante is upstairs, at the Monteleone. He's waiting. He had arranged everything, paid for the room, settled our dinner bill. All I had to do was walk with him. My reflection in the elevator's polished brass showed a woman with lipstick perfect, curls soft and elegant, but my eyes were wide with a terror that was indistinguishable from exhilaration. The hotel room door swung open before Leo could knock. Dante stood there, bare-chested, his skin a canvas of dark, swirling tattoos. He wore loose linen pants, slung low on his hips. He looked at me, not as if he were meeting me, but as if he were finally claiming something that was already his. And in that moment, I let him. He leaned in, his breath a warm rush against my ear. If you want me to stop, he whispered, his voice a low growl, Just say the word. If not, you're mine tonight." I didn't say a word. His kiss was a storm, his grip unrelenting. He tore the straps from my dress like they were nothing more than wrapping paper. Leo sat in a velvet armchair in the corner, a silent, aroused spectator. Dante lifted me as if I weighed nothing and carried me to the bed. When he shed his pants, my breath hitched, my thoughts shattered. But my body, my soul, it surrendered. I don't remember how many times I lost myself, only the constant, worshipful gaze of my husband and the way Dante's touch stripped away every defense I had ever built. When it was over, I lay trembling and breathless between the cool sheets. Leo came to the bedside, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "Thank you." In the silence that followed, I felt it, not guilt, but the terrifying sense that a lock inside me had been broken, its pieces scattered. My body ached, my throat was raw from sounds I didn't know I could make, but my spirit was incandescent. The following weekends blurred into a fever dream. We met again, this time at an isolated Creole cottage in the Marigny. Intimate, dangerous. "Miss me?" Dante asked with a smirk, arriving late, as always. I didn't answer. I just pulled him inside and kissed him. This time was different. Slower, deeper. He made love to me as if I was his, as if I had never belonged to Leo. And maybe in that moment, I didn't. I glanced at Leo in the corner and saw the shadow in his eyes for the first time. Not arousal, but a flicker of pain. A dawning realization. I looked away. That night, Dante whispered my name like a prayer, his touch both reverent and possessive. It wasn't just lust anymore. It was something else entirely. Then came the secret texts, late at night, when Leo was asleep beside me. Then the phone calls. When Dante finally asked to meet without Leo, I didn't hesitate, which led me here, to this alley, to this bed, to the point of no return. When I finally came home, the scent of Dante clinging to my skin, Leo was on the veranda, pretending to read. "Have a good time browsing the galleries?" he asked, not looking up. I nodded, unable to meet his eyes. That night, the silence in our bed was a chasm. A week later, he finally broke it. "You're falling for him, aren't you?" I opened my mouth to lie, but the truth was a stone in my throat. "I'm not sure," I whispered. He got up and walked out, leaving only distance behind. For the final night, Leo invited Dante to our home. He poured 3 glasses of bourbon, put on a low, mournful jazz record. Then he sat on our Chesterfield sofa and looked at us. "I want to watch again," he said, his voice brittle. "But this time, I want to see how far you'll go." I looked at Dante. He stepped toward me, took the glass from my trembling hand, and led me up the grand staircase. That night was a raw, powerful, desperate performance. And when it was over, I looked down from the landing and saw it clearly in Leo's eyes, pure, undiluted resentment. The days that followed were hollow. He stopped touching me, stopped speaking. The next morning, I woke to an empty bed and a letter on his pillow. He was gone. Dante stayed around for a while, but the thrill, the charge, the very thing that made it all feel so electric, had vanished with Leo. The dynamic was broken. Without my husband's gaze, without the triangle of desire and pain, we were just 2 people having an affair. The spark was gone. Eventually, Dante stopped calling. Just like that, I was alone. No husband, no lover. Only the oppressive silence of a grand house, thick with the scent of jasmine and ghosts. Freedom, I've learned, has a price. Leo thought sharing me would liberate us both, but all it did was burn our beautiful, structured life to the ground. Now, I am neither wife nor mistress, just a woman who stepped too close to the fire and watched everything she ever loved turn to ash.